Okay, very welcome to everybody. Very nice to see you all. There are some very recognizable names and faces in here, and then there's some I've never seen ever. So I'm super happy to have you guys with us. New people and people that have been on many times and are part of the group. It's very nice to see you all. I'm always happy to see everybody after a weekend. It seems like these weekends kind of cruise by, and I do some fun stuff, and I miss. I don't know if there's a term for it, but I need to figure it out. I think I have non-trading trading separational anxiety. I don't know what the acronym. I'm gonna have to think about that one for a second. But when I'm away from the charts too long, I start to feel directionless in life. So I have to be back to the charts. It means my life once again has meaning. So it's very good to see you guys. Um, I spent the weekend. I decided to rent a motorhome, kind of do a little test drive of this whole motorhome business, and I rented a motorhome and I went to a very nice RV park on the beach about 5 miles from my house, and spent the weekend there, which was really strange, being so close to my house. But I felt like I was in a different country practically. It was totally fun and crazy, and my kids loved it. And I'm pretty sure nobody showered for 3 days, even though we had this nice little motorhome. And it was just a good time. We just played in the swimming pool on the beach about 10 times a day and had a super fun weekend. Kind of a going into the end of summer time, and it was super fun. So I was away from home and everything most of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and it was a super good time. So I hope you guys had a good weekend. But I roughed it, Cousin Eddie style, if anybody knows that reference. So it was a good time. Very, very, very fun. But happy to be back to the charts. Happy to see what's going on in this crazy market. Yeah, that's what I thought, Mel. I thought, I could drive a long ways, but I live a block from the beach, and I really like the beach, so I figured I would just go to a slightly different beach. And, instead of, where does everybody go when you go on vacation? You go to the mountains or to the beach, and I'm not a big mountain man kind of a person, so I live at the beach. I just vacation at the beach. That's what I do, and it makes it easy. I didn't have to go to an airport. I didn't have to fly anywhere. I just drove for 5 minutes, parked, stayed for 3 days, had a great time. So it was fun. It was very, very in oh, darn it, enjoying. We enjoyed a good time together with the family, and just overall had a great little time. Yeah, tons of fun. So, but happy to be back to the charts. Happy to be back to everything. Happy to be with you guys. Very nice to see everyone. Yes, a little absolutely relaxing. That was fantastic. We have some exciting things to do this week. Just for anybody that would like to get a little bit of a deeper look at what we do, we meet pretty much every day and we trade something pretty much every day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and sometimes on Fridays, depending on the news announcements. And so you can get a free trial at daytradersfx.com and see. We're at the beginning of the week. You get a chance to see what we do the entire week and see if you like it. So click on that link right there, and we'd love to have you. And I think we'd have a great time getting to know each other a little bit more. We have a good little trading family here, and it's pretty fun. Pretty fun. And Mel, to answer your question, that's a good question. So we were just talking about staying in a motorhome over the weekend and all this stuff. We're traders, right? We don't necessarily have to be any particular place, and so what can we do to kind of enjoy our freedom a little bit? So I spent time in the motorhome for the weekend. The internet access was not great. There was Wi-Fi at this park, but I could never get a strong enough signal to connect, which I was happy about for the part that it was the weekend, and I just didn't want to be on the internet anyway. But for a working week, that would have been a little bit of a situation. Funny thing is the internet park or the motorhome park we were staying at was right between my house and my office, so it was actually a quick drive to my office if I had to do anything. Um, but um, but yeah. So yeah, for anybody, and I think that's a discussion worth having. If we're traders, let's take advantage of it. Let's travel around a little bit. If you're retired and you're trading, if you're a full-time trader, if whatever, travel around a little bit and enjoy, time away. I just love getting out with my wife and kids, and we just go and do some fun stuff. And but being able to keep up with trading and the charts and trades and all that stuff is important. So Yeah, Mel. Yeah, I like that Verizon, that little jetpack thing they have. Verizon's definitely got good, fast, consistent connection everywhere. So that's great. I'm still blown away that we don't just have Wi-Fi cities everywhere. I know cities are working on it. Google's trying to do something big in New York City, and there's a bunch of that going on. I can't believe it's just happening now. Like that, it's still actually difficult to get internet access when you're out of an office or not in a Starbucks or anything. And there you go. Yeah, Starbucks is great for that. Starbucks is super great. As you guys know, I've done sessions from Starbucks multiple times. It's usually loud for me because I have to do audio and recording and so on. And if there weren't audio issues, Starbucks is just top notch. It's just perfect. The only thing about those mobile internet deals is, man, you use up the data quick, and then if it were like your full-time internet connection, you use that stuff up super quick, and it gets it gets expensive-ish, whatever that means. But yeah, anyway, internet needs to become a little more available for all of us traders that travel around. So, anyways, good point. Very, very good point. Okay, so let's get down to some trading business here. Let's see what's cracking in these charts. Remember, we'd love to have you join us. daytradersfx.com/join. You can click the link in the chat. You can go to the website. You can it's all over the place. We'd love to have you. And you can see a little bit of what we do this week. Okay, so what we're going to talk about is some of the setups that I think are interesting this coming week, and we always like to cover what news may affect things. Last week we had a huge news week. It was insane. There was major news announcements every single day, and we had like 3 or 4 live news sessions apart from our regular sessions. So when we have really exciting news announcements, we'll trade those live within the group, and those can be pretty interesting. This week it's a lot of stuff that we may not have major live sessions for. We're gonna have our regular live sessions that we do every single morning, but I don't know that we have anything that we'll do a special news trading session for. We have fewer announcements this week, and there are a lot kind of smaller ones that aren't huge movers, especially right now. Remember that August is a very excitingly choppy month. August is like our final hoorah before getting into the markets kind of getting back to normal. Usually by the end of August, beginning of September, markets really start to crank. And in August, everything, very often stays in a range. We don't get major breakouts as often in August, July and August, as we do the rest of the year. So things kind of just bounce up and down. It's a great time to trade reversals. It's not the best time to trade major trends, but it's an excellent time to trade reversals. Every time a market dips in August, just buy it. Every time it runs up, just sell it. That's basically summer trading in a nutshell, trading off of major levels. But let's talk about what these important, crazy setups might be. Okay, first off, we have the euro dollar right here. And this is looking very interesting. Remember, we talked about this on Friday. We had our non-farm payroll, and we said, okay, if this dips down and kind of whatever it ends up doing, we're going to look for opportunities to buy the dip, but we want to make sure that it holds 10800, and it did. Here we are at 110, just a tiny bit above 110. But it ran down, and then we had that big reversal, non-farm payroll reversal right there. You can see that big move down. That was the news. Spiked up a little bit, tanked, and then just a couple hours later, just ran right back up, and then it's continuing to be strong. So euro dollar, I like being long euro dollar. So what we want to do here. I like being long this pair because I do. I think it's really, really great. This is a great one to be long because here's what we have right here on the daily chart. We have this big double bottom at 10800. We have this trend line that the euro just keeps on keeping on here. So we have this big run up and then it tests, and then we have this kind of double top, and then it tests and it tests, and it keeps holding on to this level. Now, if you think we missed our opportunity to buy closer to the 10800, What we missed was a really good trading, a really good entry, but I still think we have a fantastic opportunity to get long euro dollar. I've talked about this 100 times, but here's kind of our inverted head and shoulders pattern that we have. Shoulder, head, shoulder. And I'm watching this little area, and we have, if this is our neckline right here, then we have got a really excellent chance to start buying this thing anywhere in here with any pullbacks, any moves back towards 10900. Buy the crud out of this thing if we see it anywhere down around 10900. Otherwise, I'm super okay with just buying the break of this euro dollar, because we still have, if you remember right here, we still have a very good chance that this is going to run up to the 38% fib. It crossed the 23% fib and closed above it several times and has pulled back and has not made a new low, which means that the 38% fib all the way up here at 118. Now, I'm not saying it's going to 118, but I'm saying it might. We have that as a possible target. Now that one seems a little tiny bit far off. So what else do we have? We have the 200 moving average that we know the market loves to touch. It's gone 338 bars since the last time it touched the 200 moving average, and so it's good and ripe to make a run up to this 200 moving average, up to this 11300 area. That level keeps getting lower and lower. It's 115 and 114, and now it's 113. But it's slowly inching down, and I'm pretty decently confident we're going to see the euro dollar reach 11300 and maybe even a little bit more. So we want to be buying against 10800, meaning we need to have stops basically below 10800. If you're getting into this trade, it's a trade you want to be committed to, because it has the potential of paying out probably 300 pips, but there's risk, depending on our entry, of 1 to 200 pips. So we have to have our stops below 10800, but our profit targets can be, I would say, pretty safely as far as where I think this is going to go. For all of our technical indicators here, our profit targets would be up at 11300. So I really like euro dollar for that, and I think it's going to be a great trade. We can trade the break of this trend line, or we can buy pullbacks. And ideally, I'd like to see a pullback, but if not, I'm happy to trade the break of that trend line as well. So any dips, let's just buy into this thing. But otherwise, let's be ready to buy some euro dollar. Pound dollar is looking very much the same as it has been. I've been talking about this, and again, when we have kind of these crazy non-farm payroll, I'm always a little bit apprehensive to do huge trades going into Friday after a major news announcement and so on. But the pound dollar dipped right down to this level right here where we said, okay, if it gets to 154.50, 15500, let's buy it. And it dipped down and even got a little bit below that. We got to about 154.20, and then it turned around and spiked back up. But it still is in this channel and has been for a month. And this is not a very big channel, especially for the pound dollar. It's in about a 200 pip channel, and it's been there for a solid month. And so as it bounces around in this channel, I still like buying against this 154.50. We're just below 15600, so again, we need stops below these lows. But I'm pretty much ready to be long pound dollar and to trade it up to 156.75 and through 156.75. And all I'm really looking for, if we get to the end of the summer and we're still in a pound dollar buy and it's up some pips and whatever, we'll see what happens. We'll see where it goes. We'll see what it does. It may make a massive move up. We might see the pound dollar head up into 160 and 163. Those are real serious targets, 160 and 163 on pound dollar. But I'm kind of just looking for the high 150s, 157.50, 158.50 would be targets I'd be looking for. And that's not bad. It's a few hundred pips from where we are, and I think we have a very good chance of getting into that zone. So I'm looking for that as a possible target zone for the pound dollar. So I want to buy any dips on pound dollar. Otherwise, we could play it super duper safe and buy above 156.75 and just go for 100 to 150 pips from above that breakout zone. Otherwise, if we can get a nice little dip, maybe one more dip, maybe a little double bottom, triple bottom here, then I would buy a little bit closer to that 155.00. So I still love that whole area. So euro dollar, we want to get this thing as close to 10900 as possible and buy it. Pound dollar, we want to get this as close to 155.00 as possible and buy that. And just trade those things up about 300 pips. I think those are some super good trades we have coming up, and I'm pretty excited about it. As you can tell, there's kind of a theme of I'm looking for just a little tiny bit more dollar weakness. I think we've got a little bit more dollar weakness. I think the dollar might kick into gear going into next month, but I think I still think that we've got some dollar weakness ahead. You can see the dollar index right here is just flat. It's just consolidated, and it's going to break out, and it's going to break out something pretty serious. You can kind of see these highs just hanging in here, and you can see we're kind of creating this nice little pattern here. We've got this nice little triangle and some nice stuff happening, and it's been running up. And so I'm looking for the dollar index to consolidate and then just break this trend line and continue right back on up again. I think we've got a good chance of that once we get out of this summer chop. And we've got summer chop to the fullest degree right now. But once we get out of that summer chop, we're probably going to see some dollar strength going. But we've still got the rest of this month to deal with. So buying dips on euro dollar and pound dollar for me are going to be good opportunities to do something. Kind of keeping in that theme of U.S. dollar weakness, I do like the Aussie dollar. Remember, we've talked about this Aussie dollar quite a bit. We've got this falling wedge going way back here on some large time frames. You can see the daily chart broke this trend line, and it's been running up and consolidating. And so Aussie dollar looks good. It's choppy and it's scary as all get out, but I like it. And I think the Aussie dollar's got some good potential, good possibility. It's kind of giving us a choppy, crazy looking inverted head and shoulders pattern you can see on the 4-hour chart. It's a little choppy to see on the daily chart, but that 4-hour chart looks pretty good. And so you can see some shoulder activity, some head activity, some shoulder, and that puts our neckline, right about this zone right here. And so if this head and shoulders pattern can continue above 74.50 or so, then we might have a pretty big long on Aussie dollar coming up. So I think we've definitely got that in the works. So that one's a little tiny bit on the back burner, but I like it, and I'm going to be giving it a shot, and I think that will be a nice trade coming up as well. Quick little look at dollar CAD. Somehow oil is just continuing lower, and the Canadian dollar is rallying. Not that it has to do everything that oil does, but it does follow it pretty closely. But no major surprise, we have a very extended 4-hour chart on dollar CAD here, and it's finally making its move. We've been watching this little rising wedge for quite a while, and it's just starting to break out. We have a 200 moving average on this 4-hour chart and some nice pivots down here. Another 120, 30, 40, 50 pips to go. So any retest of 130-100, I'm going to be pretty interested in shorting that. 130-100, I think that's super interesting. And that is going to be kind of a good little quality area, I think, to get into. So we get a little bit of a pullback, 70, 80 pips, 90 pips. Let's look to retest or short that retest of 130-100. It struggled with it quite a bit over the last couple of months. Finally made a breakout, and it's pulling back just if it pulls back just a little bit more, that should be a great area to short this down into. From 130-100 to at least 129-100 should be a good spot to get out with some nice profit on dollar CAD. There are some very interesting things happening across many other pairs, which we'll cover this week. One thing that I think is very interesting as well is gold has made this big run down, and it's just not wanting to stay below 1100. In fact, it's making a big push. Every time it gets below 1100, it kind of just fights back and keeps shooting up. So we get below 1100, and then it runs back up. We get below 1100. It just doesn't really want to seem to close below 1100. It just keeps bouncing back up, and so gold will be an interesting indication of all this stuff. If we start to see a nice gold turnaround and it starts really rallying off the $1,100 mark, then let's absolutely be looking for some dollar weakness trades to be taking. So euro dollar longs and pound dollar longs and Aussie dollar longs and dollar CAD shorts and all of that stuff. Um, Last but not least, one that I like a lot is Euro Yen. The Euro Yen is looking fantastic, and I don't really know what the Euro Yen's going to do. I just know that we've got a great price pattern and we have some levels to watch. So we're still looking for Euro Yen to get below 133.00. A break of 133.00 and the Euro Yen should officially enter free fall zone, but we'll see how that goes. Otherwise, I'm kind of watching for the highs um, of July. If Euro Yen breaks above the high of July, then I'm going to start thinking that this head and shoulders pattern may not be, may not be good to go. If we start, probably I'd like to see a close at or above about 138.00, and we're only at 137.25. So, or I mean, we're already at 137.25, and that's not super far away. So if this starts getting above 138.00, we may not have much to do on Euro Yen. It might just be taking off and heading higher, and we'll look for something else to trade at that point, some other situation on this pair to trade. But if it can stay below 138.00, then we're going to have some fantastic opportunities to short this pair, trade it through the neckline of this amazingly, fantastically perfect head and shoulders pattern, and just run this sucker right back down again. Yen pairs, keep in mind, have gotten so overextended and they just kind of keep going up that it's crazy. So a lot of these yen pairs have massive lower levels that need to be dealt with, as well as upper levels. So yen pairs have a lot of potential when they start to move again. And I don't know what direction that's going to be, but I think the euro yen is going to be a good indication of what we might start seeing happen in other yen pairs. So again, this gets a nice move above 138.00, then it's probably going to go long for a good bit. If it can get back below 136.00, then we probably have some massive shorts in the works. So this week, just to reiterate, I am buying dips on euro dollar. I'm buying dips on pound dollar or breakouts. I am thinking about buying a breakout on Aussie dollar. I think we have a nice opportunity to short a pullback on dollar CAD. And we'll be keeping an eye on euro yen, just kind of these key levels. Basically, July's high and July's low are going to be the big things to watch on euro yen. And whatever it does, with those highs and lows, is going to tell us a lot about where this currency pair is headed. So I like those setups. I think we've got an excellent week ahead of us. We're going to look for, some slightly shorter term, smaller trades, 50, 100 pip trades, as we wait for the markets to really take some direction and break out. Even though we've seen a nice little move on Friday and Monday, like that on the euro dollar, we still see that we're, at least a solid month into pure chop. And then the month before that was pretty much pure chop. And then we had, everything has been channeling for a couple of months now. This is very common in summertime. We just have to kind of be patient with it. But things can really move once those channels start to break. And we're going into an exciting point where channels do break. And we should have some very, very huge moves in the works. So I'm excited about all of that. And I'm ready to get this stuff going and going. So questions, comments, let me know. I'm right here. Thanks for joining us today. These are the things I'll be watching. I'll be sending out a lot of updates on Twitter and some charts of the day and so on, so you guys can keep track of all that we talked about. Thanks for being with us. Remember, if you'd like to get a free trial in the trade group this week, just go to daytradersfx.com. And even if you forget the join part, you can just click right. There we go. You can just click right there and just get started. And that'll get you set up with us for the week. We'd love to have you. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you, everybody. Nice to spend some time with you. Questions, comments, send them over. I'm right here.